After an invincible season last time around, it's all eyes on back-to-back promotion for Falkirk, and one man who was key to the club's success last time around was Captain Coll Donaldson. So we've headed down here to the Falkirk Stadium today to chat to the man himself. Coll, we're around a third of the way through the season now. Just tell me how it's gone for you and the team so far.
Yeah, it's been great. I think we spoke when we first came back from pre-season, and we sort of spoke about how we've got the momentum and the confidence was high in the group and how we could use that. So we were keen to have a good League Cup group stage, which we managed to do, and then we've taken that into the league, and yeah, things have gone really well. We've had a couple of hiccups, but I think the way that we've reacted to those defeats has been really good, because obviously last season in the league especially we didn't get beat, so it was how would you react when you do get beat in the league. So yeah, things have gone really well so far. Is there a certain pressure, do you feel, to repeat the success of last season? I didn't feel like there was at the start of the season, but I think when you start the way that we have, and also the way that we play as well, because you can pick up wins and there might be a bit of luck involved, and or the games are quite tight, but I feel like a lot of the games that we've won have been quite comfortable. We're playing really well. Games on the telly, when you're in the Championship and you play well in those Friday night games, there's more eyes on you, so people get a wee bit more excited in the press and things like that. So maybe now there is a wee bit more pressure, but that's fine. That comes with the territory. You want that pressure. You'd rather be playing for something than the other pressure, because I've played with the pressure of facing relegation, and that's horrible. So to have a pressure of trying to win a league or get a promotion, then it's a nice pressure to play under. Is that an aspect that maybe some of the boys in the squad aren't used to, because like yourself and maybe some others have had that experience before? Yeah, I mean, we've got quite a young group as it is, but the experienced boys within it, and obviously include myself, we've got Mikey, Brad, Tom. These boys have sort of been around the block now, knows what it takes. And also it comes from the top, comes from the manager. Can he take the pressure off us? Can he keep everything inside that dressing room? And he does a great job of that. There's a real good group in there and a good harmony, and he's getting the best out his group of players just now. So yeah, things are going well, and we want to keep using that pressure as a sort of motivation. And you've worked under the manager before, is that right? Saying that, tell me about John McGlynn. What is he like to have around the building? Yeah, he's great. So I had him when I was at Livy as a youngster. I think I was 18, 19, and he came in, and his philosophy on football was a wee bit different. It was a wee bit more old school. We played a wee bit more back to front. That might have been to do with the players, but I've spoke about him before, and I just think that you might look at the gaffer, he's getting a wee bit older now. He's obviously been around for years, but the way that he keeps sort of forward thinking and changing his sort of way of playing, and yeah, he's great, and he's a really nice guy. I don't know if you've had much experience with him, but I haven't, no. He is just such a really nice guy away from football. So, and I think there's a lot of players in there that have played with him at other clubs as well. So that's sort of the biggest sort of sign you can see where boys want to come and play for him again. So yeah, he's a great guy. The manager, he's quite the character in front of the media. What's he like behind closed doors then? Yeah, he's similar, and to be honest, he's probably a wee bit more unhinged behind the camera. I think he's getting better at all that media stuff. He's doing a lot more of it. But yeah, he is. He's got quite a dry sense of humour, and he's the first person to slag himself in terms of like when he gets a player wrong, if we're doing like opposition instructions and things like that. But no, he is. He's quite funny, aye. How does he compare to any other managers that you had? Because you've worked under Harry Redknapp as well, haven't you? Yeah. I mean, compared to like a Redknapp, he's like hands-on. So if you could probably speak to Smudger, the assistant manager, and Smudger's desperate to like take things and do certain aspects of training, and then the gaffer just like takes everything. He's involved with everything in terms of video analysis, training, setting up for games. He's like a control freak. But yeah, no, he's really good.
How refreshing is that as a player, that with the style of football that he implements in the team, that it allows you to go and express yourself?
Yeah, it's massive. I think the biggest sign of that was when we went and played Celtic in the League Cup, even though we obviously fell to quite a heavy defeat in the end. I think the build-up to the game was like amazing, because I've gone to Celtic Park before with other teams and it's like damage limitation, 11 men behind the ball, soak up the pressure, can we score from a set piece? Whereas the gaffer was like breaking down like Celtic clips who hadn't conceded a goal domestically up until this point and was like, we can hurt them here, we can hurt them here. Obviously we need to be solid in parts, but that was so refreshing as a player to have a manager when you're in a championship team talking about, can we go to Celtic Park and implement the way that we actually want to play? And I think up to a certain point we did that. We obviously ran out of steam in the end, but yeah, it's the way you want to play. Every footballer would be the same. You want to be on the ball, going forward, attacking. It's actually quite hard for me as a defender because there's quite a lot of space and we're high up the pitch, but no, it's great. It's so enjoyable, and his training's really good as well. His training correlates to how he wants to play in the game, so that side of things, when you're training and you can then see the results on a Saturday, that's for a professional footballer, that's the best thing you can hope for.
Just to take you back to that Celtic game then, they had just come out of a Champions League victory, of course. How much belief did you go into that game, when you just said like the preparation that the manager put into that?
Well, that Champions League game was quite a frightening thing to watch. I mean, everyone watched it. We knew that Celtic would probably make changes, so even though when they make 5 or 6 changes, it's still top players that are coming in. But we have got such a high self-belief in that room, and I think you can come out and talk about, I spoke actually before the game about, it's easy for me to sit in a press conference and say we're going to pass the ball and press Celtic, but we actually did believe that, and we managed to do it up to a certain point, like I've said before. So yeah, there was that real sort of sense of belief, and it might have been daft, and it could have gone horribly wrong, like it did in the last 20 minutes. But it looked all right, especially the first half. I mean, going in at half time, 2-1 up, everyone was sort of like looking at each other like, what's going on here? Well,
you took a big fan base to that game, of course, and you see it here every other week. Tell me about the fan base. Is it a Premiership side fan base? Do you feel they belong in the top flight?
Well, I think we've got the highest attendance so far in the Championship, so from that point of view you could maybe argue that. I think the fans have been absolutely brilliant. I've noticed a huge shift in the fans' attitude since joining the club. I think the first year there was still a sort of hangover of previous years, so last 20 minutes when we wouldn't be winning a game there would be boos, half time there might have been boos. But obviously results are going well. When you're a football fan, your team's winning, it's easy to be a good football fan, but they've been really good from the start of last season. There was a sort of a new ultras group that brought in, and I think they've been quite infectious to other fans as well in terms of their attitudes towards the team. And now it's a really good place to come play your football. I think if you just spoke to previous Falkirk players before my time, they would say the complete opposite, and that's just sort of the experience that you can have. But the fans have been great. It's I think every year when you look at like fixtures and you look at away grounds in terms of like what will be a good game and a good atmosphere, I think opposition players would say Falkirk now. The stadium's nearly sold out, place is rocking before the game. We're obviously going well, there's a lot of momentum about the place. So yeah, it's a nice place to play your football just now. You're
still sitting in the top of the league at the minute. The club are one of the favourites to get promoted. Can they do it?
I mean, yeah, I think we can. I'd be lying to you if that hasn't become the aim now. It's not shifted from what we spoke about at the start of the year in terms of being competitive in every game. You're obviously a team coming up from League One. There is that sort of trepidation, will we be able to do the things that we were able to do in League One in the Championship? We've managed to sort of implement those ways so far, but there's so many games of football to go, and nobody in here will be getting ahead of themselves or talking about title parties or any of that nonsense. There's so much work to go on. You've got the Christmas period, and then there's big games and they're nervy and things like that. So there's a long way to go, but like I said, we're a confident group. We just want to carry this momentum on for as long as we can.
What would it mean to you as the captain, the players and the manager to get that over the line?
Yeah, it would be absolutely massive. I think we saw the sort of outpouring of emotion last year when we managed to win the league. Obviously we went invincible, which was like a cherry on top of the cake, but the massive thing was getting out of League One. And just sort of, you saw the fans and what it meant, the celebrations. Yeah, it would be amazing. But like I said, there's so much football to go. I've been around football long enough to know that as soon as you start looking ahead and thinking about what you can win and what you can achieve, you'll get stung. You see that with like the Livy game a couple of weeks ago. There was a lot of press coverage that week about how well Falkirk have been doing, how well they've been playing, and nobody was really chatting about Livy, and Livy beat us 1-0. And then it's 3 points in it and it's dead tight. So we need to just stay level grounded or level headed, whatever it is, and just sort of keep that momentum, keep working hard.
Obviously, promotion is the top priority. If they are to make it into the Premiership, should a club this size be aiming to play in European football?
You've got that from the manager's interview a couple of weeks, haven't you? Listen, that's so far down the pipeline. I think when you're a club that gets promoted, we saw it this year, we've managed to do really well. Hamilton are also having a decent start to the season. But I think that maybe that jump Championship to Premiership is a completely different kettle of fish. So, listen, if it's a bridge we'll cross when we come to it. I think if you were to be promoted from the Championship into the Premiership, your initial sort of aim would be stay up in the league, whether that's even staying up through the playoffs or finishing 10th. But again, we're finding ourselves talking about Premierships in European football. I tell you, football will hurt you really quickly.
You can be ambitious though.
Yeah, you can, of course, you can, but you do need to stay in the moment. As soon as you start looking ahead, you lose sight of what's really important, and that's week to week. And I think that sort of Livy defeat brought us back down to earth, and we had a really good performance on Friday, which is massive. I think when you lose a game, it doesn't want to become weeks and weeks where you're not winning a game. You want to win straight away again. So, yeah, Friday was massive for us.
Okay, before we finish then, Ashley, beforehand, your 3 wishes for the season, if they're to all come true, what would they be? So
I'm going to go a selfish one to start because I'm injured just now. So just to get back fit and be available for selection. Not even worried about trying to get back in the team yet. I've had a bit of a nightmare with sort of groin injuries for about 6 to 7 months now. So just looking to get fit, obviously win the league. And a third one would be, I don't know.
Not a boring answer.
Maybe a repeat of last year where we had 10 players in the team of the year.
Yes.
If we could repeat that, I mean, that would be an unbelievable feat, but that would obviously come with winning the league. But that's your aims. Hopefully they can come true.
And finally then, if your 5-a-side team of players that you've played with.
Right, so are you forcing me to have a goalie here?
I'm forcing you, yeah. Have to.
Right, I was just going to go all out attack, even as a defender. But I'll stick big Nicky in goals.
Okay.
Nicky's still a young goalie, but he's been outstanding for us this season.
Right.
So I'll put Nicky in goals. I'm not putting myself in it because that's egotistical, and I'm certainly not that.
You'll get laid
I'll get slaughtered from the boys. So I'm going to put Liam Henderson at the back.
Okay.
He can go at the back because he's sort of like midfielder, defender.
Right.
And then I'm going to have Blair Spittle in it. And I'll have... I'll put another one of the Falkirk lads. I'll have Brad.
Okay.
He gets so much plaudits from the gaffer though.
I love that then.
I know. He's massive. It'll be getting even bigger. So I've got Nicky, Brad, Hendo, Spitz.
Yeah. One more.
One more. Oh. Jeez. It's difficult when you put them on the spot. I'll throw Calvin Miller in there.
Right. And that's you?
That's me. That's my 5. So I've got 4 of the Falkirk lads.
I know. Are going to be happy.
I'll be safe going back in there now.
Well, Coll, best of luck for the end of the season, and I hope you're back fit and out there soon.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.